Welcome back to Recruitment Unplugged, Inside Responsive Personnel, episode 3 this time. My name is Chris Dawes, and I'm going to be picking the brains of our two, it's not right to say guests, they're co-hosts because it's your podcast really, about understanding. Understanding is key is the title today. Delighted to introduce, making her debut, it's Kimberly Bird. Hi, Kimberly.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good, thanks. Are you still nervous?
Yes, I am a little bit.
Good, that's fine. So was he the first time, and look, he's fine, so he's fine.
Oh, no, you're like chilled.
I'm back, yeah. Third time lucky.
Obviously, Dominic, welcome back.
Thanks, always good to be back.
It was your idea that we brought Kimberly. I don't know if I've just thrown you under the bus.
Probably, yeah. Fresh faces, meet the team.
Mm-hmm.
And what is your role there, Kimberly?
Yeah, so it's recruitment consultant. And I deal more beside the hospitality side of things.
Okay.
Yes.
What's your background then?
So I actually worked with the company, I think.
I thought
yes,
so.
Yeah, so I've come back. I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing. No, I'm joking. But yeah, I worked for the company, I think it was 3 years ago. And I worked for the company for 4 years.
Oh, wow.
Yes. So come back to try it.
3 years ago. So it's probably evolved a fair bit as well. Since
yes, yeah. Things have changed, but some of the main things are still there.
No, that's true.
Yeah.
No. And what was your role back then?
So I started as a part-time admin, and then I worked up to do accounts, and I did a bit of recruitment as well.
Okay.
Yeah, so it changed within the 4 years.
Nice. Well, welcome back then.
Thank you very much.
I like it. That's really, really cool. So your focus is on the hospitality side.
Yeah.
So that includes...
So hotels, events, restaurants, bars, things like that, yeah.
Does that mean you got to go to them as well?
Well, yes, there are some very nice places around here.
I like it.
Yeah.
Shout. But it's the same as we've been chatting about that whole, that you might suddenly have like an urgent requirement that needs to be filled. And I'd imagine in hospitality, that's rife, isn't it?
Yes, yeah. So it just depends what people want. But there was some more specific as well if they're looking for chefs and things like that.
Oh, that's a good point. I've seen your adverts for the for chefs and things like that. That's a good point because that's quite a specialist.
Yeah, and it depends on the place as well because obviously everywhere is different and what level they want someone to be at.
Oh, fair shout.
Yeah.
Well, I'll come back to all of that in a minute. In terms of a personal side, what do you like to do outside of work?
I've got 2 children, so life does revolve around them. They're 13 and 11 now. So yeah, so busy with that and then just chilling out really.
Oh, fair dues. Because as we said, we did that with you 3 on the first episode, didn't we?
Yeah, we learn what we do outside of work, if we have a life.
If you have a life, yeah.
Oh, family did.
Yeah.
Who knew?
Who knew?
Do you go along to the Wildcats as well?
No, I've been once when the children were younger, but no, we were sat down at the front.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You'll love it. You'll love it if you get to come along.
Maybe sometime in the
Next
future.
season,
Yeah.
get the bug.
Yeah, no, exactly right. It is. Obviously, we're both fellow sponsors of the Swindon Wildcats.
Yep.
And we're loving the atmosphere. Off to
Yeah.
Coventry this weekend.
Yeah.
Just quickly,
absolutely.
time stamps this
Get that
episode
in,
now, doesn't it? Okay, now I'll open it to both of you. Understanding is key. Now, Don, we did actually touch on this previously, didn't we, to some extent, is that it's a very sort of multi-directional understanding is key, isn't it? Because you need to understand not just what the client wants, but the client in terms of personalities almost, I guess. The candidates, exactly the same thing. And the role to be able to match it all together. That's quite a lot of things to understand.
Yeah, absolutely. And the client side is probably where it all starts, finding the right person for them and understanding what they want. From that, we then go to market for candidates if we haven't already got them in our bank of people.
Yeah.
And then it's finding the right person for the right role. So candidate journey, Kimberly knows all about from last time and being a consultant and back again. So the candidate side of things is Kimberly's bag, probably more so than mine, along with the clients now that we're doing as well together. But yeah, it's all about going to someone really understanding what they want, because with our work, as we've said before, the warehouse side is the unskilled labour, if you like, is what it's known as. But there's still a skill to find the right person with the right personality in that warehouse, because not everyone gets on with everyone. We'd be lying if we said they did. So it's finding out what fits that client's need, what team they're going to be working with, how big the team is, what age range the team is, and who's going to fit in with that mix.
Which is what I really like about you guys at Responsive Personnel, is that you kind of take the cliche. I mean, like you said, that unskilled labour, that's the title that has been given it externally, but it's like going, well, no, there's a whole lot more to that in terms of the people, in terms of the role. I mean, we touched on things like knowing, how things are strapped down. We were talking about drivers and stuff like that. They, do they know how to strap loads down properly? It's not just, are they any good at driving this size vehicle? It's
Absolutely.
Like, there's a lot more to it.
Yeah, vehicle checks, making sure the vehicle's safe to go onto the road. So every driver before they go out will carry out a vehicle check on the van. Being big enough to say, actually, it's not ready. I was in a warehouse at 6 a.m. one morning, and the tyre had gone flat on one of the vans. So obviously not ideal, but because they checked it, no one just hopped in it and tried driving it. It was spotted, it was early. It was amazing to see how many people it took to change the tyre, I will be honest. But yeah, it was quite entertaining at times.
That didn't need to be on their CV. So
that bit was fine. They can drive, they got a license, they can go. But yes, they're back on the road again, and nothing was affected, which is quite nice to know. Every morning that's checked. They go out, new spare tyres are ordered down that day, and ready to go again should the same thing happen. So it's more important than, yes, I can drive, and yes, I've got a driving licence. There's a lot more, even the way you unload and load the van to make it most economical and time efficient for your day. There's a lot more to it than people realise.
Absolutely. And I mean, you've got to know when it's right for the candidate. I mean, we were touching on chefs, for example. As we know, it's not just a chef.
No, and it depends who you're speaking to and where. Chef. Yes, and that, and also depends on the location, obviously what the client wants, and obviously what level.
In the kitchen.
Yes, and that.
I've seen the stories about things like that. So you've got to understand all of that stuff. Yeah,
so it's definitely, like Dom said, it's listening to the client, what they specifically want, and then you're hunting down and finding the right candidate for the role.
And I would assume that evolves over time as well, because without even making it obvious that you're learning, you're just aware if candidates are in there, you'll get to know what the venue, the people,
and like I said though, that you'd be surprised, every place is absolutely different. You can talk to one hotel that's next to each other, but they both want totally different things, or even in the same hotel and different, the bar or the restaurant.
And I can imagine it changes when certain members of staff or management are no longer
maybe,
there, and that can change the dynamic very much. I mean, I did, when I was young, I'd get upset when I realised how long ago it was now. I wanted to be a hotel manager.
Oh, did you?
No idea why. I don't know where it came from, but that was what I wanted to do. And I went and did 2 or 3 work experience or placement things. I then decided I didn't.
No? Wasn't for you?
No. I think it was, I went to work way too hard, was point one. Point two was that I was leaving, all right, I probably did it the wrong time of year. I was leaving in the dark and getting home in the dark. And I got to, it was really decent. I got to try all of the jobs in the hotels. And there was certain roles where I didn't even see daylight during the day. No, because you're just absolutely flat out. And I just kind of went, no, I don't think I fancy that.
No.
But that's
on the flip side, there's people that love it.
Exactly right.
They love the long days, get the money in, and some chefs are like 4 on, 4 off, so they prefer that way of life.
That's true. And the creativity, we talk about chefs, there's definitely a creativity to it, but people have a very strong mentality of that serving people.
Thing, definitely.
Don't they? Whereas I'd get frustrated with too many of them, I think.
Can't deal with the heat in the kitchen.
Yes, exactly right. And the stress where everything is like here and now, but they just love the achievements of all of that. And the events, that is going to always be different, surely. I mean, I guess a company that is providing the services for an event, they will kind of go in with a ready retina, but these things are fluid.
Yes, so it just depends again on location, obviously what they're looking for, whether it's basic events or they want something a bit more high standard.
I love that.
Yeah, the summer's coming up.
Yeah,
our
we've got
event
busier,
season's
yeah.
starting, so
The marquees are being dusted down.
absolutely
Ready.
washed and cleaned and made to look white again. So yeah, it's coming up to the busy season for us for the event staff. There's lots going on, lots of weekend work, and people love it. You know, people even that have got a full-time role Monday to Friday, they'll be saying, look, I can go and work on a bar at an event, because if it's a music festival, they quite enjoy the music, they earn some money,
and it's free into the event as well.
It is. My sister went and did Glastonbury.
Yeah.
Oh, did she?
Yeah.
I know a few people that did that as well.
She loved it. I mean, it sounded way too exhausting for me, and roughing it. You know?
Yeah.
There was no nice beds or anything.
Sleeping in the bar.
Well, I think that they had tents in an area that was fenced off. That makes sense.
Yeah.
But she said, that they just had fun serving everyone, and you just embrace it and be as mad as the people.
Well, everyone's in a good mood.
Yes, exactly.
It's the best thing.
And then they got to disappear off and watch
enjoy some of it.
Yeah. So I get that. I do get that. And sporting events. I mean, you like the British Grand Prix with the F1. You know, you get to go and work at events there, and people are sort of enjoying
Get you in the door.
atmosphere.
You can't get in sometimes.
Yeah, people are in a good mood. They're there because they want to be there. So you're serving people that are happy being there.
And I guess you've hit on something there, is that you guys aren't just about people that are looking for their, I'm going to call it permanent job. I don't necessarily mean it
forever
permanent
job,
versus
career.
Yeah, it's not just that. Is that they could have a job, / career / whatever, but then kind of go, I want to do some events.
Yeah, so it gives you opportunity to do both, especially when that extra money to come in as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you ever do it out of interest then, where you've maybe got some people that you put in events, but also you've got them in, shall I call them normal jobs?
Oh, they're full-time job. Yes, we've got people.
Position in place in both.
Yes, we've got people that work full-time, and then obviously if those extra hours do come at the weekend, we do offer out to them as well, because they want to take the extra money
But then
home.
that's different roles to what you've put them here to over here.
Yeah,
so it might be events here, but it might be something else.
Again, I think it circles back to the understanding the candidate. So even this week or last week, just gone, we've had the same lad work 3 different roles for us.
Wow.
One of them was an all-day on a Saturday in a kiosk at an event. One of them was in a warehouse out in Highworth, just working a day shift. So there really is the opportunity for everyone to say, like, some people don't know what they want to do, so they can try a bit of this, a bit of that. If they're the right fit and the right person, they can adapt to a role, and then they might say, actually, I really enjoyed that one, but I'm not so keen on that one.
Variety's the spice of life.
There you go. Got to try a bit.
Absolutely.
So, but yeah, they love it. Some of them really take it on, and they say, yep, that's what I want to do. Can I have a go at that? I can try that. People will just say, call me when a work comes up, I'll do it. So if that's 6 a.m, they're straight in. If someone's sick or something, we know we can call on them. We understand, they can do the job. They're willing to work. They've got the right attitude, and they'll go in.
Well, I think I was also having a conversation with someone else, what sounds like a complete tangent, so bear with me. I do this.
We'll get that.
Where buying a first house is so hard. Big deposits needed, all of that sort of stuff. And so when you set your heart, that's what you're going to do, you go and roll your sleeves up and go, I need to find multiple places. And that's where the beauty could be with you guys, because you're in these different areas. Not just that they can get more work, but they could actually open up the scope.
Yeah.
I like that. That makes sense. But again, it is vital that you know those candidates, what's their work ethic like, what's their personalities like. You know, are they going to rub other people up the wrong way or be wound up by people in the candidates that you're putting in? And you kind of got, because happy life and all of that.
Well, absolutely. The event side especially is there's no sort of fixed break, because if there's a big queue and it's busy, you're working. You know, when it gets quiet, yes, you'll take a break, but we can't guarantee when that'll be. The pace of it, if there's a queue.
Just because Stormzy's on stage doesn't mean you get a break.
Exactly that. Exactly. Yeah, run off and see him. But yeah, if there's a long queue, you've got to pick up the pace and roll your sleeves up, like you said, and get cracking to it. So if someone is quite slow and methodical in everything they do, they'll see it as chaos. So again, it's that understanding of what the candidate's going to do in that situation.
And that's a really interesting one, Nat, because someone being methodical and good, there's a time you just got to throw that out and just rattle through it. And you kind of go, that doesn't make them bad at the job. It just means they're not suited to that
particular role. Yeah.
Yeah, or that role in that environment, maybe even.
They just probably need a slower paced bar at an event.
Yeah.
So
because they're good with the punters, they're good socialising with them and keeping everybody connected.
Well, slower pace,
not
people,
bang, 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 bang.
Slower pace, people will probably talk at someone serving champagne because they can have a chat, talk about it. Whereas on a beer bar, I'm sure you've been waiting for your pints. Obviously, you don't drink, non-alcoholic or water. You just, you're there to get a drink and off you go. You don't want to have a chat or talk about it. So, you've got the beer tents and then the champagne bars, different environment.
Yeah.
And the workers need to be different.
I like that. That makes absolute sense. There is a phrase I've got written down here: being the local expert in your field. And that's, I guess, where you've got the specialising in the different areas, because you do need responsive personnel, not only are the local experts in a particular field, but are constantly watching, constantly listening, constantly evolving to make sure that you sit there as the experts in the fields.
I think it means a lot to clients. Most of what we've talked about in the previous episodes comes down to trust. I think a lot of it, like we've said, people will go to people they trust, and they know. We won't always tell them what they want to hear, as difficult as that can be, but they'll trust it and they'll know it's coming from a good place. Clients will come to us and say, minimum wage has just changed. What's everyone else paying for a forklift driver? Are we going to get not worse staff, but how are we going to attract better staff? Do we need to pay a bit more? What are they paying? What are other clients on your books paying? Yeah. It all comes full circle to say, well, what's happening out there in the market, because they're in their bubble and every warehouse is in their own bubble, and we sort of join them all together. Yeah. And we're in them, see what's happening and talking to the people running them and running the rates. So
because there's regional differences, isn't there?
Huge, absolutely. And there, different rates for day shift, night shift, workers pre-parity, post-parity, which is before 12 weeks or after 12 weeks that we touched on last time. So there's really a lot going on just to say we're going to pay them this amount. It's not just, it's minimum wage is $12.21, so that's what we're going to pay. And we talk a lot about consulting with them, and we'll have that conversation. If you pay this, people may go elsewhere because they're paying £13.
Yeah.
If you want to do that, it's your business, it's fine, but we're advising you from what we've seen.
Do they always listen?
Eventually.
Yeah.
They might not to start with, and then they'll probably get frustrated.
That was a bit of a grenade question.
We can send candidates based on what they want, but if they then come back to us and the feedback is they're not what we want, something has to change.
Yeah.
So if you took a permanent role, so an account manager role in a business, they might say, well, the salary is £26,000. We'll take them on permanent. They'll get all the benefits straight away. Job done. We'll go back to them probably after speaking to the market and saying, well, actually, account manager looking for 30,000. So you're not going to attract one for 26 unless you do your training plan and take a trainee. Yeah. And then it's up to them. We put the ball back in their court to say, do you want to spend a bit more, or do you want to put a training plan in for a trainee and take someone less qualified?
Move them up, yeah.
So if they then say, actually, show us what we can have for 30 and show us what we can have for 26, we'll send them both and they interview them and make a decision. And that's where knowing the candidates and what they want, you can have those conversations.
And I can almost envisage as well is that it's not just about knowing the candidates, that is the way they work, that is their personalities, is that by equally looking at others, there could be things that you could end up going, we have seen this over here as well, that might be stepping them out, and you can kind of pass that knowledge on as well. Might not even be for here and now, but there is knowledge and expertise that
there's always conversations, and from candidates we can learn a lot as well. So candidates will work through other recruitment agencies, but they will tell us about, I worked here and I didn't like it because of X, Y, and Z. Okay, so you've left and you want to work somewhere else. What you didn't like it because of that? What makes you think you're going to like this new role?
Yes.
Because we don't want to do the same thing to them and they're moving on again in 3 weeks because they go, I don't like it. Maybe the role just isn't for them, but no one's actually said, maybe try something different. They're just going to try every single warehouse until they think they fit in. But if they don't fit into the work, there's other opportunities out there.
And I guess you're constantly building up your own trends. You're looking at seeing the trends because you're hearing it come in more often. You go, okay, this is interesting. This is a new trend that you can advise. When did you start back here?
Middle March.
Okay.
Yes.
So that part is still a bit early, I guess, for you. You're still sort of evolving that side, but you're going to be hearing more and more. And even understanding a client, I can speak from experience now about understanding what they're really looking for. I've got situations where I've got a couple of roles that I want to fill within my company. And I have had people talk to me about, what's the trainee roles?
Apprenticeship.
Yeah. Sorry, I had a complete mental block.
I'm here to help.
Yeah, thank you. Apprenticeships, and even placements for people that are in, college and things like that.
Work programs, yeah.
Yeah, and I really am keen to go that route, but because my organisation is young enough at the moment that it's like, that would end up needing me doing an awful lot at the moment, whereas I need some people with experience to slot in there, and I will then add to those departments with apprentices. And so you've got to know where the makeup of their business is, haven't you? Presumably.
Absolutely. Some people, the bigger companies know they've got a better idea because they see the trends themselves. They've been around longer and they've got the personnel in place to probably look at their trends.
Yes.
It's the smaller companies that we help probably more so on a consultancy basis. So we've got a warehouse that one of our colleagues is at every morning nearly at 6 a.m, making sure everything is running smoothly, just because the warehouse needs that from us.
Yeah.
Someone's sick, someone's not turned up, someone's overslept, someone's alarm hasn't gone off. There's all those things that can happen, but we know that, so we're already ahead of that, and we've got 2 or 3 people that have probably got out of bed at 5:30 on the proviso that we're going to call them, and 9 times out of 10 we need them somewhere. It might not be there, it may be someone else has called and said someone's sick over here, and we think, right, okay, they were lined up for here, but out of the 3, that one could go over to that client and do a day's work there. And then normally we'd drive around, pick them up, deliver them,
Really?
get them in as soon as possible, because if someone's sick and a van needs to go on the road, say, the longer it takes for them to get the bus or faff around or get a lift or get a taxi, that van's still sat in a depot waiting to go. So all it's doing is extending that run time to come back.
You're like an extended part of the team, aren't you, to whoever, all of the clients?
We always say, or I always say to clients,
nice to look after,
we don't want to be your recruitment agency. We want to be an extension of the business.
Yeah.
It is.
And that's the bit that we really want to feel. They can ring us, they can text us, WhatsApp, voice note us, whatever they need to get hold of us. We're there, and they can just think, oh, don't worry, they've got someone that can just step
then
in.
it comes back to trust as well, doesn't it? So it puts the whole package
Which has
together.
to be earned, and you're earning it by doing all of those things.
Yeah.
And I really do see that in both directions. As an employer, you want that trust with, hey, if an unexpected situation arises, we're going to be covered. The people that are going to be put forward, I can trust that they're the right people. The way that it's done, I know in the last episode we were talking with Hazel about how it's like I could have multiple people, but it's one invoice from you guys.
Yeah.
I'm like going, well, that's utopia. That's so easy to get that taken care of. Granted, it's not easy for Hazel, but but it's to know that. But from a candidate, and I especially when I was going through university and probably before that A levels as well, is I would go through agencies to get whatever work was really available for beer money. I mean, book money. And I needed to know that company weren't going to, put me in a, I don't know, vulnerable situation. I think that's probably the most obvious word to say.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of the time you don't know where you're going at times. They'll ring you and say, just go to this location.
Yeah.
This is the job you're going to be doing. Just trust us. And based on what they've told us, that's where that trust has come from. Like we said, they come in, they sit down, they meet with us properly. We sit like this and have a chat with them and say, these are the roles we could put you into. Which ones do you like the sound of? Which ones don't you like the sound of?
Yeah.
If we call you, this is the work we're going to give you. And then they get that phone call at 6 a.m. Quick, we're going to pick you up in 5 minutes. You're going to, a warehouse today. They're like, okay, no problem. And they're very wanting to go.
It's that their, and this is out of curiosity now, is that their preference to be that sort of almost on-call member of staff to some extent, or are they sort of maybe early stages with you?
Yeah, it's more
Bit of both.
Yeah.
Some
It can
will
work
always
both
do
ways,
that.
can't it? Yeah.
Some will always be like, I'm just happy to be on call as and when you need me, because they don't need the Monday to Friday, 40 hours a week. They're just happy to be, if there's some work today, I'll do it. If not, no problem. There's some that in the early stages almost see it as like a trial shift.
Yeah.
Can we trust them?
Yeah.
If they say they're going to be up at 6 a.m., are they going to be? Because if they're not, if we had to put them to work, they wouldn't be there.
So making sure that, because I think this is a really good point to be able to make for people to be aware of, is that if I turn to you and say, yeah, I'm coming to you for work, however, I really don't want every single day. Now, in my head, I'd be there going, maybe I shouldn't say that out loud, because does that call my commitment into question? But it's just what suits my lifestyle at the moment.
Absolutely.
They would not be deemed as saying anything negative if that was there.
No.
Because you need those people.
Yeah, absolutely. We need
sounds of
all
it.
sorts of
People,
people. Yeah. We have roles that are 4 hours a day, probably 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. that they normally book probably about midday. So then we can call on people and say, do you want your 4 hours today? Sometimes they say yes, sometimes they say no, and you just move to the next one on the list. So it's very much, there's no, you're not getting a black cross next to your name because you're not available 7 days a week.
And I think that is an important point to make in here, because I would probably have been nervous to even suggested that.
We'd rather you tell us the truth. If you said, I've got football on a Tuesday, so I'm never going to work a Tuesday.
Actually, I remember you saying something like that example before, that I or the kids or whatever have got these commitments, so I categorically cannot work Wednesday afternoons or whatever.
And as soon as we know that, we'll mark that down and
we try to get as
shift.
much detail when someone comes to the office. Like, have you got any commitments that are stopping you? Because we can sort of work around them, but
we can work around all of
yeah, we can work.
I can almost take that a step further, that it would be all too easy to go, right, I've got to really prove myself to this recruitment company and what have you now, so I'm going to say yes all the time and I'll get kid.
But it's always
covered.
proving, because when we do put them out to work or offer them something,
They let us down
because they haven't told the whole truth.
So they're better being...
It's better to be honest.
What can work longer term? Don't go out of your way to... Because actually that is counterproductive. That's an interesting...
Don't try and be the star student that can do everything.
When you can.
Just be yourself and be you.
That's a key point, I would say. What's going off on a slight tangent? And be careful what you say. And I'm going to start with this one. What's some of the most unusual jobs that, and probably a guess for you, is that you've heard being filled, because yours is a bit more recent, that you filled? And I'm going to say some of the ones I used to do when I was at university. Some crazy ones. I think the one I least liked, although I actually did it multiple university vacations, was in an abattoir.
Yep.
Because I grew up Bristol direction. There was an abattoir not far, and it was thankfully it was at the sort of cold packing stage, so ignorance is bliss and everything like that. But it wasn't good. Smelt of it when I came back.
It must have smelt after a day's work.
Absolutely. And we used to get really cheap meat at the end of the week, and it's amazing how if you see too much you go off of it.
100%.
You know where it's come from that time.
Exactly. It was a real struggle, but that paid me really well, and it's great university work, knowing that you're doing it for a period of time. And an unusual one was that there was these container lorries being loaded with boxes of wagon wheels. Other chocolate bars are available, that were all going off to some country as a sort of providing food that was needed. And it was these boxes of wagon wheels. And we were having to sort of like load them in a box at a time to absolutely fill, like the shipping containers. And it was multiple lorries of those. It took forever to do this. And we were able to eat the wagon wheels as well.
What, as you were working?
Yeah. Do you like wagon wheels now?
I was going to say, have you gone off of them as well?
I did. But they're back again. They're back on the menu. They're fine again now. I've recovered. I've got over it. But that was really odd. Even to the point where when I'm regaling the story, I'm going, did that really happen?
Yeah.
But it did. It was really unusual. And I would imagine you guys do get those unusual things that come up and says, we need to get this done.
There's not too much unusual stuff in Swindon, probably. We have one.
That's a sentence that doesn't get said often.
Probably, maybe I shouldn't say that. Next week I'll get a call and I'll be like, oh no, why did I say
We're
that?
Swindon proudly here, so we're joking.
But no, there's a client that unloads containers of Disney soft toys.
Yeah.
And just loads of cuddly toys in a container, and you think it's not heavy. It's just probably have a laugh a bit. The most fun we did, we provided Scratch for our good friends at the Swindon Wildcats.
Yes,
so
of course.
we did have to find someone to.
That's a mascot for those.
That is a mascot. Yeah, that is the mascot. So that was quite good fun. I think I ended up escorting them around all night as well.
That's what you said you were going to be in it then.
No, wow. At one
made just
point,
as well as him, yeah.
At one point, if we didn't have someone, I think my name was in the hat to be
was it?
stitched up with it. So.
My name kept getting put in that hat as well.
Yeah, well, I kept taking mine out and putting yours in.
Yeah, I know.
But yeah, that was good fun, and I say it's just something it's just local community in it and making sure we're doing what we can. And it ended up being quite fun, and we had a laugh with it. And yeah, the lad that did it, bless him, he did brilliantly.
No, absolutely.
So that was good fun.
And I'd imagine yours is, I don't know if you're able to refer to the hospitality side, but some cool events.
Yes, we've got loads coming up over the summer at the moment, and they're all different. So yeah, I don't want to give too much away at the moment, but yeah.
But we were going to
yeah, like we said, we touched on earlier, there's certain events as well if people want to go to them. And obviously it's just the atmosphere as well, because a lot of people want to be around people that are in a good mood.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just good days out in the summer.
I'd just be envious that I'm not out there getting drunk with everyone.
Yeah, but I think there's a bonus to each side, because if you like talking to people and just interacting, it's good to be behind the bar, busy.
I think it probably says more about me than the rest.
Yeah.
I've got trouble
You
there.
stick to the other side.
One for you, one for me.
Yeah, exactly right, yeah. I did enjoy talking to hospitality. I used to work behind a bar at a golf club.
Oh, did you?
I used to really enjoy that. And you were talking about this. We were talking about the quicker pace, slower pace.
Yes.
That was nice, steady, slow pace. And the conversations I used to have, and that would include some famous people over the years as well.
You're going to name drop?
The funniest was probably Eddie the Eagle Edwards.
Was it?
He was mad as a box of frogs. I really enjoyed that. And do you remember? I think you're into your football as well, aren't you? Dean Holdsworth.
He's probably before my time, Chris.
All right, don't rub it in.
When was he about?
It possibly was, but yeah, he was there, and he was an interesting guy. But I just love that, because everybody's going and just getting away from life while going and playing golf.
Probably a good conversation as well, because they've all been on the course, and like I say, that escapism from it all.
I did. I used to enjoy that one.
Yeah.
But I used to do things as well, like telesales roles.
Yeah, did you enjoy that?
No.
Kept doing it though.
No, not that often, I can tell you. But even like weird things like plastic piping, telesales for a plastic.
Oh, really?
company. Yeah. But literally at uni, you'd do anything.
Just to get the money.
Yeah, exactly. Because there's a lot of books that we had to buy.
Exactly, all those fees.
Yeah.
Library costs.
I think the biggest one that stood out for me in this episode is and I'm going to take this from the candidate side more than anything. I think we can say from the client side, what is great is that you interact and get to know the client, the people, the roles. You make sure that you know it, and that you are able to then find the suitable fits for them in multiple ways: personality, skill sets, times available, all those sorts of things. But I think what I take from this most is the candidate's side is, don't prejudge what is the right answer. Come to you with what it is you are prepared to do, available to do, and there's no prejudgment. And it will, because there is, whether you want to work every God-given hour or whether you just need to be able to work some as and when they're available. Everything is just as important.
Yeah, you look at the candidate, I like the client as well. You get to know all the information about them, like Dom said earlier, like where they've worked, what they didn't like about it, and what they're looking for in the future as well. So we can accommodate for them.
I like that.
And then you can put 2 and 2 together and hopefully they make a perfect pair.
It's just a matchmaker.
Yeah.
And I mean, do you learn from... I'll ask this.
You're going to lead me down a rabbit hole,
I'm just taking a run up now.
Yeah.
You mentioned, for example, is that you will have people go, I was here, I didn't like it because of this. And that helps you to understand what is suitable for them and what is not.
Yeah.
do you sort of learn about employers and kind of go, either I think I know how we can help the situation there. Actually, I will just leave it at that one as a thing to like, because I guess even that sort of information can be useful for you guys.
From our side, yeah, if a candidate comes in and they've got a CV, this agency work, like you say, if a university student may come in and they've worked for the past 3 years, different assignments, like yourself in abattoir, telesales, plastic piping, things like that. It's all whatever else you've done.
Mate. I'm impressed. Wagon wheels.
Wagon wheels, yeah. So if they've done all that, you can sort of say, okay, which was your favourite, which was your least favourite, why? If their least favourite, they may not have hated, it just wasn't for them. But yeah, absolutely, we'll reference them as well. So we'll get, a clear understanding of, is what they're saying, why they didn't like it, or were they late every day and they didn't like being told not to be late.
And it can be interesting things. I mean, I'm still remembering the various jobs. I'm getting like flashbacks. So if you see me go vacant, it's because some of the flashbacks might not be as much fun. Yeah. But I worked for I'll leave the company name unsaid, but a wholesale distribution warehouse. And I did a mixture of truckers, mate, and I was amazed how hard those truckers work, delivering to like the various little mini markets.
Back end of nowhere sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely. And I remember that it was flat out, and how they manoeuvre in some of those places is amazing. And it's flat out, and you could be stuck in traffic. But the beauty is that they were actually not paid by the hour per se. If they got back earlier, that was it. They're done. They could be finished by lunchtime, and that's the end of their day. But they're paid for a day, and it was like, wow, that was quite interesting. But the the picking and packing bit, I hated that because I think from memory I'd gone through something in my personal life, and I had too much time to think.
Oh, okay.
And that was one of the things that then fed back of going, I don't want something where there's too much on my own, nothing to think about, not testing me, going, there's something else, there's something. And I was in my own thoughts too much. And they found that as really helpful feedback to go, right, we know where not to put you now.
Yeah.
Some people love it. Again, the flip side of that is some people will just want to be on their own, working in their own space with their own thoughts. I've previously done work in a warehouse before, and probably similar to you, found it, okay, scan that, put that in the tray.
But I think I could do it now because I got the stresses of the world running this company.
Yeah, nothing.
But I'd have times where I go, do you know what? I just want to go.
Switch off.
Yes.
And just do the work, go home, not think about it. And so it is horses for courses, isn't it?
Yeah, and that's what I mean. At different stages in life, different people, they want different things, they want to try different things. If just because they're not good at it at one place, maybe they didn't get on with their team leader, but they were brilliant at the job, but they just didn't like it. So you put them somewhere else in the same job, but they get on really well because they both like football, and they just chat all day about football while they're doing their job, so they love it.
I get the impression that you guys would pay a lot of attention to them if you kind of go, they weren't fully happy there, but they're going to give it a go, but I'm going to keep an eye on them, make sure they're okay. Yeah,
and that's what we talked previously about, making sure on day one we're there, they know who they're meeting, because that can be quite daunting, meeting new people, not knowing where you're going. So like we said, walking them into school on their first day really, and saying, this is who you're going to be working with, this is the team, here's the canteen. Some canteens are a bit more salubrious than others. So some you walk in and go, oh, this is the canteen, and they look around, they're like, okay, where do I got lunch? So, but it's very much looking after the people, because they're going to go to work for us. And if they hate it, they're not going to get back the next day.
No.
So, and again, while they're on their first day, give them a call on their break. How you getting on? Do you like it?
That's so important.
How's the team? Yeah, really good.
On your side, on the, and I'll wrap this up in a minute, but again, my mind just suddenly thinks about this. We're talking about jobs, going and doing jobs. I want to do work and get paid. I've got things to pay for. But we did touch on careers.
Yeah.
And I know we touched on in a kitchen.
Yes.
A cook, a chef, various chef in roles. They potentially are actually career-minded.
Yes, yeah. So we've got certain clients at the moment where they're looking for the lower end of the chefs, but they have actually said there's the opportunity where they can work up.
Yeah.
If the main chef is going to put the time into them, if they're a good worker.
And I think
which is good for someone, especially if you want to excel.
And I do think that that's important, because if I and I'm going to be unfair now, but I'm going to say what maybe other people might think is that if you think recruitment company you're going to get me work. But actually, it isn't at the expense of a career, that this is actually, you are able to assist in careers.
Yeah,
because instead of me sat there going, I'm waiting for an advert to come up for a sous chef or something like that so I can start working my way up. Come through you guys and it can start.
Yeah, definitely. It just depends on what you want to do. If you get the right teacher as well, that's going to allow you to obviously excel. It's a good thing.
Absolutely.
Just got to put in that hard work sometimes.
Hard work, but be given that chance.
Yes.
Right place, right time, all of that sort of thing. And that can be the hardest, isn't it?
And I think it's a world, hospitality is a world where there are different opportunities. So like you said, if you didn't want like one certain role on the bar, you could then look to go into the kitchen.
And why is it? Because it seems contradictory, is that we've got the World Wide Web and you kind of go, well, everything's, I can find anything now. But I find there's so much noise that it is actually really difficult to go and go, this is what I want to go and try and find. Whereas you guys, because you're on the button, you're the place to go to and go, yep, we've got lots of contacts, we've got lots of roles, or we will have more roles that will come up. Don't you find it odd that the World Wide Web's supposed to help us with this, but there is an overwhelm?
I think there's so much. Like you said, there's so much noise around it. So we'll have roles come in sometimes that we know who we're going to put forward, so we sometimes don't even need to advertise them. So if you're looking on the web, you will never see it because we've already got 4, 5, 6 people that we can put forward and say, actually, we've got what you need. Don't worry. Or you can come down tomorrow, you can meet them, see what you think and interview them. And
you're saying that from a client perspective, aren't you? Which is just as valid, isn't it, actually? Yeah, because you could be going, right, I need to... I could make the argument, I could just advertise on LinkedIn.
Yep.
I did it. It was awful.
Was it?
It was awful.
Why was it awful?
Well, because I made it very, very clear, saying, look, some remote working can be done, but needs to be predominantly in the office. Paraphrasing, but that's kind of the essence of it.
And you've got people from Manchester, Scotland,
India, America, and I'm like going, have they not read this article? And they go, but I thought I'd try it just in case. It's like, no, this doesn't help me with people trying it just in case.
And then you waste time talking to them and letting them know.
Absolutely, and I got nothing from it. I had the interesting conversations I had weren't helpful because they weren't looking for a job. They were outsourcing people, as in the freelance people. Sorry. And I'm like, no, that doesn't help me. This is an internal role. So, and so it didn't help me. Whereas I would cut through all of that by working with a company like yourself.
End up with a short list of probably 2 or 3 people, meet them 3 and choose who you want.
And I know we said we weren't going to say it, but that try before you buy potentially.
Yeah, you have to get in every time. Try before you buy.
It still makes me chuckle that we can say that. But it's true. You start on that sort of temp basis. And
people don't realise you put a job advert out there, anyone in the world can click apply and you're going to get their details, have it as an application, see their CV. And it does take time. Even if it takes 2 minutes, you could easily get 20, 30 applications overnight. And you have to find the one that you want, you have to go through all of them.
Which is then unfair because you become word blind and you could actually be wrongly dismissing one that could be really good.
Yeah.
And I guess there's that noise and overwhelm again, isn't it?
Yeah. There's a lot out there that can muffle what you actually want.
Which comes back as a wrap up is that understanding is key. That is what happens here, is that we get the understanding of the clients, the candidates, the roles, the marketplace, the local uniques, whatever that happens to be. And I think that's really important.
Yeah.
I think that wraps it up nicely then.
You've done well there.
We did. Brought it all the way back again. Kimberly, I hope it wasn't as hard as you thought it was going to be.
No, it wasn't. No. Thank you so much.
No problem. And Dominic, thank you, mate. Good to see you again.
See you next time.
So we'll see you, what was that? That was episode 3. We'll see you for episode 4. We haven't discussed it yet. We'll let you know. Keep your eyes peeled. Cheers all.